We'll move on. We're now going to go to 11.0, and board, we're getting ready to take several votes here, so we're going into our action section. 11.1 is the second reading of our vaping resolution, and if you were with us last month, Dr. Guyton introduced a vaping resolution. It was excellent, and we've all had a chance to review it, and tonight, do I hear a motion regarding the vaping resolution as presented by Dr. Guyton and Dr. Little?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the vaping resolution as presented by Dr. Guyton and the administration.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Green. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Board, are there any questions or comments regarding the vaping resolution as presented?
Yes, there was a correction from last time, and we took out e-cigarettes and put in electronic nicotine delivery systems, but not all vapes or Juuls, whatever you call them, have nicotine. So I'm wondering, I'm sure y'all thought this out.
Ms. Garris, I actually, I sent a copy of the first draft to the folks at LRADAC, and they reviewed it just to make sure that it's consistent with how they provide the education and resources that they do. And that was the one suggestion that they sent back, was to change it to nicotine delivery systems. Dr. Guyton might be able to answer the question about with because I had the same thought with, it says nicotine, and there's not nicotine in some of these products, so you might be able to answer that.
You know, so all the literature that you run across uses the acronym ENDS, ENDS, and that's pretty much a universal type designation for any type of vaping device. I think the intention, the word nicotine, I think, is meant to be more of the intention of the device before it is actually altered after manufacture. And so while yes, certainly the devices can administer THC or whatever other drug of choice may be out there, the intention is that they're manufactured with nicotine in mind. So I think that's what is the real driver for the ENDS acronym, if you will. And yeah, just I think this kind of played out beautifully when Dr. M with LOCC reached out and basically offered up this advice. It really kind of shows that there is sort of a universal desire to see this improve, and I think moreover we're seeing a tipping point. We are starting to see a tipping point. We're seeing some of the largest manufacturers really starting to struggle these days. If you can imagine, $38 billion company struggling. We are seeing it. We're seeing legislation on the state level. We're seeing legislation on the national level. We're seeing, multiple CDC, other medical agencies getting involved. We're actually seeing school districts suing these companies. I'm not suggesting that by any stretch, but it's getting a lot of press these days, and so I think we're in the right. We're heading in the right direction. It's just a long road to drive.
And not to throw a wet blanket on Dr. Guyton's comment, but I did send him and a couple others yesterday. NPR published an article about vaping and how like Juul, which is kind of a brand, but we kind of use that as a generic term, that is like very yesterday, that there are already new products that teenagers are using, new devices, that it's just one of those things that we're just going to constantly be play catch up on. And so I think anything that we can do to be proactive, to at least come down on our philosophy on it, I think is a step in the right direction.
And I think, too, you have to remember if they, and I might need some help here, Mr. Caldwell, but if they are putting illicit drugs in a device like THC or whatever, that's a whole nother, that's a law, that's different laws, that's different policies where they're abusing illicit
That's right.
drugs.
At that point, it becomes a violation of the drug and alcohol policy.
Okay.
Now, as with, any resolution or any policy we adopt, we want to see measurable gain, I think, at the end of the day, and that'll be the telltale, is what type of measurable gain do we see. So hopefully when we go and look at the points at which we have have made changes. Hopefully from that, we will see improvement. Time will basically tell.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Guyton. Anybody else? Questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of the vaping resolution as submitted by Dr. Guyton and Dr. Little, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion carries and it is unanimous.